From the mind of Brandon Cronenberg comes ANTIVIRAL, a particularly icky satire on celebrity and the cult of personality. I sat down with Brandon to discuss the inspirations behind the most disturbing film of the year. Brandon Cronenberg, welcome to the London Film Festival. Particularly happy to have you with us, being that this is one of the best films of the festival.
Well, I know, but thanks. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
No, it really is, and in most part down to just the craziness of the pitch. Do you want to lay that out for us before we discuss the film?
Yeah, it's about a man named Sid March who works at a clinic that buys diseases from sick celebrities and sells them to fans who want to be infected.
So Sarah Michelle Gellar, she's not in this movie, but I understand she kind of inadvertently was some of the inspiration behind this.
No, she wasn't actually. It was after we shot, during editing. I know someone kept saying that she was the inspiration for it, but it was when we had finished shooting already. A friend of mine sent me this Sarah Michelle Gellar on Jimmy Kimmel clip where she was saying she has a cold and she was worried about infecting the entire audience, and then when she says I'll infect all of you, they all start applauding madly. But it was more that I saw that and then thought we have to get the film finished immediately or it'll become totally useless as a satirical piece.
Now, as a satirical piece, it's also caricature as well. I think in a lot of ways that line is blurred constantly. I'm thinking about the ringworm for dogs.
Yeah.
So your dogs can have celebrity infections as well. Was this something you were conscious of playing with?
Yeah, no, for sure. It's meant to be a cultural caricature to kind of, I guess, counteract habituation to things that are very common in our culture but are weird.
And was that tone worked on quite a lot in the edit?
Yeah, I mean, we spent a fair bit of time in the edit, but I think we had a pretty clear sense of the tone going into it. It wasn't. It changed in the edit, but it didn't. I don't think the intention or the tone transformed.
Now, I'm particularly queasy, so any viewers watching should be warned, I think, in advance. It's a pretty icky film, but how I was able to sit through it was that I think the satire comes before the body horror. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think the horrific elements are there to support the ideas and the satire, and it wasn't meant to be just a gross out film for the sake of being gross.
Now, the mechanics of the plot, I did get a little lost at times, and that's just because this vision of the world, it's strangely logical yet so bizarre that it almost demands a second viewing, I think, just to figure out who's crossing who. Because, like I say, you get so caught up in the world. I suppose that's something you were aiming for.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think if you came out of it wanting to see it a second time, that's really good. But also, we did try and even we would have scenes with multiple screens playing back news programs and stuff. So I was thinking that maybe you could there are things that you just absolutely wouldn't see the first time around because you'd be looking at one screen and then you could get something else out of it the next time.
Now, on one of those news screens, there's a character who dies in the film, and there's a funeral of which there are mass crowd gatherings, and I thought this is really kind of outside of the budget, and I wonder how he pulled that off. So
it's stock footage.
All of it's stock.
The funeral is stock footage.
Can you tell us whose funeral?
You know what? I don't know. Because I was told it was Jack Layton's funeral, who was a politician in Canada, but it then turned out not to be, and now I forget whose funeral it is.
Now, all the machines in the film that are used to extract and process the viruses, I was struck by how functional and realistic they looked. I didn't question that, so I was wondering if you could talk about how closely you collaborated with your production designer, because I was particularly impressed with this element of the film.
The machine, the easy face, ready face machines. We collaborated quite closely. I had an idea. I described them in a fair amount of detail during the script writing process, and then we talked about them quite a bit, and spent he would rent pieces and find pieces and start to construct them, and then we would talk more about it. And
Do you sketch yourself, or is it just going off these descriptions with words in the script?
It was mostly the descriptions. I sketched a little bit here and there, but I don't think I did any machine drawings.
Well, they certainly look and feel very authentic, and
Cool.
as do we see multiple injections. Another queasy element to the film, the lady in front of me sat through the whole thing, and especially when the needles came up, watching through her hands.
Right.
Were these done for real?
Yeah, a lot of the stuff in the film is real.
So how do you do that practically?
Just with a professional and some willing subjects.
So talk about your lead, Caleb Landry Jones. He's perfect casting because his pallid complexion. He looks vampiric anyway, I think. So when he gets sick, he looks like death warmed up.
Yeah, no, and we desaturated, the film's all very desaturated. It's I think 20% color, so he's additionally pale due to that.
And can you talk about working with him?
Yeah, he made my life extremely easy because he's a fantastic actor and he really likes to go all the way with things. And if anything, we had to hold him back sometimes and be like, no, you have to wear pads. You're not going to throw yourself on a concrete floor, without protection. I mean, he really likes to push himself and to feel it and to, so yeah.
Was he injecting himself? Is he a willing subject?
I'm not at liberty to discuss such things. But he's definitely, yeah, I mean, he's got something great and he's really willing to go for it.
I'm wondering about the visual inspirations for the look and feel of this character. When he gets really sick and he's walking with the cane, It looks like a weird cross between Nosferatu and the Elephant Man.
Yeah, well, he was saying he wasn't deliberately doing that, but he does really like old silent films, and he's a really nuanced physical actor, and I think some of that is maybe indirect inspiration from some of the Caligari or some of those great old silent films.
Now his character is a brilliant but lowly technician, and then the other main character is a globally adored superstar. So can you talk about the dynamic on set between the actors and getting them in the headspace for those two, very different parts from very different worlds?
Right. Well, they both came to me individually and said that they didn't want to meet the other. Each said they didn't want to meet the other one. So we actually kept them apart. They ate lunch separately and they never spoke. And so those scenes in the film where they do speak, it's almost the first time they were actually talking to each other ever. We really kept them divided, and so that kind of helped that tension.
Now, something I'll be going back for the second viewing to check this, but you can tell me now if you want. In the offices where Sid works, did I spot a picture of your dad up on the wall?
Offices? I don't think so. On the walls?
I could have sworn he was there.
If he was, it was an accident. I definitely didn't put him in there.
Well, your father is known for, he does a lot of literary adaptations, and Cosmopolis was not long out. I'm wondering if this is something that would interest you. I mean, he's done Crash and Naked Lunch as well, of course. Is this something you would be interested in, or are you always going to be putting out this very original material?
No, literary, I would love to do adaptations. I'm a huge book nerd and I collect books, and I've actually been thinking about an adaptation, trying to find one to do, but it's a little bit hard to find the right book that you can get the rights for and that that's doable within a certain budget. Like I was looking at some science fiction books like Philip K. Dick books, and aside from being notoriously hard to get rights to them, they're also huge and I don't beyond the scope of what I could do for my next film.
So if rights weren't an issue, you'd be going with Philip K. Dick?
Not necessarily, because I'm not sure exactly which book, but I think he's a really good author. I like Philip K. Dick a lot, and yeah, a number of other people. I haven't really found the right thing to adapt, but I definitely would be interested.
And finally, can you talk about the audience reactions here at the LFF?
They were great, I think. We had, a lot of people stayed around for the Q&As, and yeah, we had some good discussions. The audiences here have been really, really good.
Has there been anything in particular in that, our audiences are famously usually that much more reserved?
Oh, really?
So I'm wondering if it provoked as big a reaction as I'm imagining it might have done in the American festival circuit.
No, you know what? No one seemed very reserved here. Everyone was. It felt. I think the audience reactions and the Q&As have been very similar from place to place, even though the festivals have been very different. And this place was no exception. Everyone seemed quite warm and into it, and had a great time.
Well, fantastic. We're looking forward to the rest of the UK being infected by antiviral, hopefully at some point next year.
Cool.
Thanks so much for talking to us,
Oh,
Brandon.
thanks so much. Nice to meet you.
Have you started bleeding yet?
Bleeding?
From your mouth.
I don't understand how this isn't considered cannibalism.
You've become involved in something sinister. It's a weird business, Sid.